Excelsior, everyone. Exodia Fic here, ready to entertain you once again with another thrilling audiobook. Today we dive into what if Naruto was the master of Rizz and managed to Rizz the goddess, a gripping one-shot that's sure to leave you on the edge of your seat. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to show your support. Also, be sure to check the description for more details and to support the brilliant author behind this breathtaking masterpiece. Now, without further ado, let's begin.
Ras Al Ghul sighed as he sipped his wine, his problems weighing heavily on his mind. All he wanted was a son. A son, was that so much to ask for? He had achieved everything he had wanted, every single goal he had achieved. Now it was time to pass on his name to his would-be heir and son, but fate had fucked him over and given him a daughter. He loved Talia, don't get him wrong, but he wanted a son, someone to carry his blood for years to come. But alas, when he first found out he was having a baby girl, he didn't know what to think. He thought he could handle it, but upon seeing her in front of him, he just shut down. He just walked out of the room and never looked back. He kept on walking, not moving, his body on autopilot as he did so. Somehow, he found himself at a random bar in Paris wearing an expensive black suit with a red undershirt. How the hell he found himself in Paris could be anyone's guess, but he was just too depressed to care. Fate had robbed him. Oh my, a man drinking wine? A voice said, as a figure took a seat next to him at the bar. Raz glanced at the woman next to him. She was beautiful, extremely so. She was dressed in a red dress that hugged her figure tightly and accented her breasts. Long, curly blonde hair, gorgeous blue eyes, and beautiful red lips that were pulled back in a teasing smile. She was a literal goddess. I simply enjoy the taste, he muttered as the woman laughed, her laugh bringing a drop of joy into his dried-up desert of a heart. Don't we all, she said, her blue eyes sparkling with mischief. That flower. She pointed at the flower he didn't even notice he put on the breast pocket of his suit. That is very rare and cannot be found in these parts. It's exclusive to the Himalayas. Now what's a man like you doing with it, and how did you get your grumpy little hands on it? She had a playful glare on her face as she asked the question. The flower, a purple little thing really, can only be found in one place in the world, on his fucking doorstep. And very few people can recognize it. I bought it off a street vendor in New York, he lied smoothly. New York, huh? The woman said with a playful smile. That's a long way from home, poor little guy. You like flowers, miss. Demeter, the now named Demeter, said as she looked at him intensely. Like the goddess? He asked, not sure why her playful nature suddenly turned. Hustle. You a mortal? Weird Q question. You have a name, mortal? She was staring at him so intensely it was actually scaring him of all people. Ras Al Ghul. He could have easily come up with a fake name, but he didn't want to disappoint her. What a nice name! And she was back to her cheerful self. So, Ras, what brings you to the City of Love? My love life has been lacking, and I thought being in the City of Love would fix tat, Ras said as he sipped his wine. And how is that working out for you? Demeter asked with a head tilt. Not well at all, Ras said as she laughed. Oh, so sad. Maybe you might get lucky tonight. I hope so, too. Ras had the best time of his life. The past 4 months were great. That is, until she up and left. He'd all but looked everywhere, not being able to find her. Soon he just gave up, going back to his old life. That is, until 9 months later he received a basket. Hermes, the messenger god, stared at the snowy mountains with a confused look on his face. Was this the right address? With a large basket in hand, the Olympian god marched through the strong winds. The cold and strong winds didn't bother him on account of him being a fucking god. The address wasn't very specific, his aunt just said it was in the Himalayas. Looking around, he couldn't see anything related to some sort of civilization living area. You know what fucked it? With growl, a green aura covered him and he begun to move, really fucking fast. He was but a blur, as he zoomed around searching every single bit of that mountain. Until finally, Ras was on his desk doing some paperwork when one of the guards burst in. Sir, something just attacked the B base, the guard said, as she stood at attention. And just what is something? Ras asked, just as a man in a blue business suit walked in. Funny thing, though, he was holding a basket. That would be me, the man said. He was tall, well-built, with black hair and blue eyes. Now sleep. The man waved his hands, and all the hidden guards in the room slumped to the ground. Are you Ras Al Ghul? The man asked. Yes, and you are? Ras asked as the man sighed, put his basket down on the desk, and pulled up a chair from thin air and sat on it. Now, Ras had seen a lot of things in his time. one of them being so-called magician that actually just pulled sleight of hand tricks. But this man just pulled an office chair out of nowhere. This is for you, the man gestured to the basket. A little something from my Aunt Demeter. Demeter? Raz slowly went for the basket. He opened the top, and there was bundle of blue blankets. He gently pulled the blankets down and revealed, baby, head full of blonde hair and sleeping peacefully. Raz's heart almost skipped a beat. This was but was it a? It's a boy, the man answered swiftly. He's asleep, so we have some time to talk. Yes, I have questions, Raz said softly as he stared at his sleeping son. His son. That felt good to say. So you're the leader of a league of assassins? Hermes asked with a raised eyebrow. She sure knows how to pick them. Yes, I am. But how did you know that? Raz asked, his gaze still on his sleeping son. I can read minds, Hermes replied easily. Most mortals are easy to read, except demigods. Those be really fucking hard. Yes, mind reading. You're a man of many skills, mister. Thieves, Hermes, god of thieves. Hermes is in the god? Raz said as he looked up. Yep, Raz could not help but raise an eyebrow at what the god was saying. Most of the gods existed in the world, and they usually came down and had babies with mortals. These babies were called demigods. Demigods were strong, not as strong as their parents, but still above average. His son, heir, to the League of Shadows would do great things. Let me stop you right there, Hermes said as he stood up. I can see it, your eyes. You think your kid is going to do great things, don't you? Newsflash, buddy, only fighting gods get to have strong kids. Yeah, sure, he's going to be strong, but not Heracles strong. I mean, when have you ever heard of Child of Demeter defeating some world-ending threat? It just doesn't work that way. He is my son. He will do great things. Raz's voice held conviction. Yeah, I'm sure the name Breadcrumbs Jr. the Third will be written in the history books alongside the likes of Heracles. Hermes laughed as Raz grit his teeth. That damned woman named his son Breadcrumbs Jr. the Third. Who does that? What's even worse is that Breadcrumbs Jr. the Third is the third. That means there is a second and first out there somewhere. Look, I gotta go. I hope I've answered all the questions you had. Remember when he is old enough, make sure you take him to Camp Half-Blood? Yes, of course. I get the feeling you didn't listen to that last part, Hermes said blankly as he stared at Raz. Don't you have pleases to BBE, Essenger God? Raz said as he tilted his head to the side. I hate you, Hermes muttered before he vanished in a flash of green. Fucking God thinking he can seal my son's fate, Raz said as his guards stood to their feet. Gather the entire league, my son is here. Also, it seems that the god left before he could answer one question. What the fuck were those on his son's cheeks? Whisker marks? A blond man stood in the middle of what appeared to be an arena. He was shirtless, showing his muscular upper body. For bottoms, he wore white lost pants, and his feet were bare. The man tightened the blindfold on his face as two figures dressed in all black slowly got on the stage. The blonde got into a fighting stance as the figures approached him. Raz stared at his son a distance away. Naruto had grown up into a strong young man. He looked to the side of the arena, where men stood with giant drums. He nodded and they began to play the drums loudly. The figures attacked Naruto, and his son easily blocked their attacks. At first, Naruto was on the defense, making sure to block all the attacks. The figures were skilled fighters, and they easily rotated around Naruto. Soon the blonde began going on the offense, throwing punches and kicks exactly where his opponents would be. The two figures jumped back as Naruto paused. Then a smug smirk crossed his face, and he moved. Despite being blindfolded, Naruto easily found his opponent, the enemy throwing a punch, which Naruto caught easily. He then pulled them in and punched them in the face, knocking them out. He let the body drop, and just as a throwing star stuck itself into his exposed back, making him stumble. Naruto quickly moved to the side as more stars were thrown. He quickly stopped and pulled the star lodged in his back. More stars came, and Naruto let them hit him. His chest was pelted with stars, but the blonde let them. A second let, he flung the star as hard as he could. The star hitting his opponent and sending them flying back. The star would have killed them had it not been for the body armor they wore. Raz raised his hand as the drumming stopped. He slowly walked over to the arena where his son stood. As he got close, Naruto sprang into action, throwing punches that Raz easily blocked. Did I win? Naruto asked as he stepped back. The cocky smirk on his face proffed that blonde knew he won. What do you think? Raz asked sarcastically. You've improved, son, but you still rely too much on your healing abilities. Nothing's ever enough for you. Huh, old man. Naruto grumbled as he pulled out the stars from his chest, the cuts and wounds instantly closing up. I'll be in my room if a certain. Father wants to compliment his son on a job well done. Ras moved to the side as the grumbling blonde passed him by. Naruto was perfect, the perfect son he always dreamed of. But Naruto had one glaring flaw. He was his mother's son. Naruto shared Demeter's weird emotion-changing habit. One moment, his all happy and dumb, then bum, called blooded killer the next. The sudden of things just set him off. Sighing, the old man looked to his retreating son with a small smile. Despite what Naruto thought, Ras cared and was proud of his son. He just didn't know how to express it. Even now his son still had on the blindfold. After all, what kind of assassin wears his emotions on his sleeves? Raz narrowed his eyes at his son, said son did a little jig before he turned a corner. Raz sighed. That boy would be the death of him. Many years later, Ras Al Ghul held two swords in hand as he stared at his opponent. Raz was fully geared and decked in crimson armor, ready for a death battle. His opponent was a man decked in full armor that bronze and black. The man wore a helmet that was bronze on one side and black on the other. He had one sword with him. Ras charged swinging his swords to cut the man's head off, but the man easily blocked both swords with his one. Growling, Ras stepped back as his opponent went on the offense. The man swung his sword, and Ras blocked with his two. With each swing, their blades clashed, and Ras's old bones shook with pain. His opponent's hits were hard, and Ras found himself being pushed back. His opponent had gained momentum and was swinging his sword so hard and fast that Ras's blades simply broke. Ras's hands fell to his sides as he dropped his broken blades. The man then stabbed Ras in the chest, making sure to push the entire blade in. This had the effect of bringing the two close to each other. Ras stared into the mask of the man. He could see bright blue eyes behind it. My son, remember one thing, Ras said as he spit out a glob of blood. Make sure no one should evert L. That.B Breadcrumbs Jr. III is a real name. It's so fucking dumb. Why would anyone even think ack? With that, Ras croaked. The masked man let the body fall to the ground as the guards picked it and took it away. He then took off his helmet, showing blue eyes and whisker-like marks on his cheeks. Naruto smiled sadly as someone hugged him from behind. The old man always said I would be the death of him, Naruto said, as the person behind kissed his neck. Dear brother, this is the way of the League. There cannot exist two heads at a time, only one. The figure, a woman said as Naruto glanced back. Whatever you say, sister, you're the smart one, Naruto said, as his sister laughed. His sister let him go, and Naruto turned around to see her leave, her gorgeous hips swaying side to side as she walked away. Come, brother, we have much to do. Coming, Talia, Olympus. Ares, the god of war, marched towards his brother's palace with a scowl on his face. Apollo, he called as he kicked down the doors and barged in. I need to... What the fuck are you wearing? Ares paused as he looked at his half-brother. Apollo was dressed in a Wonder Woman costume and was posing in front of a full-body mirror. Brother, great timing. Tell me, how do I look? Apollo said as he turned to his brother with a smirk and hands on his hips. Ares stared at his brother. While the war god liked to lie, he felt this time honesty was the best policy. You wear it well, surprisingly. Ares nodded as Apollo did a spin. Thank you. Now, why did you come here? Yeah, so I got this growth on my dick and was wondering if you could check it out, Ares said as he went to take off his. Yes, before all that, do you mind doing my lips? Apollo said as he snapped his fingers. A stick of purple lipstick appeared in Ares' hand. Ares glared at his brother for a moment before he spoke. Red would suit you better, he said as the lipstick turned red. Oh, since when are you an expert in makeup? Apollo raised a delicate eyebrow as Ares approached. Aphrodite talks a lot, and I guess something's just slipped in between the cracks. Yep, the downside of dating the love goddess was that the bitch just didn't stop talking. Plus, she always made him do her makeup whenever he was bit too rough. So why the fancy get-up, going on a date? No Comic-Con. Now tell me what happened while you work. Apollo said as Ares gently grabbed his face and began applying the lipstick. It all started when this moose. Naruto took in a deep. Smells like nerds and geeks, he said as he spread his hands. Anime-con? A few people gave him funny looks, but the blonde didn't care. With a smile on his face, he marched forward. All around him, people were dressed in different, colorful costumes. Most were based on some kind of fictional character, while others just made up their own characters. All in all, it looked pretty cool. Hey man, nice costume. A few stormtroopers waved at him, and the blonde waved back. What costume? Naruto muttered as he looked himself over. He had on his bronze and black armor, just without the helmet. The blonde had a job last night, and it took way too long to finish. He didn't have time to go grab his costume, so he just kind of winged it. All right, the broacher said the JoJo booth and stands should be on the north, Naruto said as he pulled out a broocher from one of his pockets and buried his face in it. So if I just walk north, and so the blonde D-died, without even looking where he was walking, the blonde marched on, his armored figure making people move out of his. That is, until he bumped into someone. Oh, sorry I didn't see you there. Naruto put down the broocher and was met face-to-face with a Via Varia fusing. Sight. Princess Diana of the Amazons? Ares was a god of war. That means he was built for war and conflict. But there was no war at the moment. No conflict that would satisfy him. In short, he had nothing better to do and just followed his half-brother to Anime Con. A bunch of geeks and nerds running around didn't get him fired up, and he was about to leave. That is, until his brother bumped into someone. Princess Diana of the Amazons? The man said as he looked at Apollo in confusion. Honestly, Ares didn't blame the guy. Apollo was rocking that look. Long, luscious blonde hair that fell to his shoulders, blue eyes, full red lips, and dressed in a blue leotard with star-spangled bottom. His gorgeous legs were in full view, well, mostly. His feet were covered in knee-high red and white boots. He had the golden lasso somehow sticking to his hips. All in all, Apollo looked gorgeous. "No worries, my man," Apollo said in his normal voice. Ares narrowed his eyes at the nervous blonde. Unlike everyone else at this stupid place, his costume looked genuine. Plus, the man smelled of blood. "Oh? Where are you headed, handsome?" Apollo asked as the man took out a broocher. "The JoJo stand," the man said as Apollo's eyes lit up. "A brother who has seen the light," Apollo exclaimed, which of course earned him some shocked looks from some nerds that were leering at the blonde god. "Sorry, nerds, she's a man." Ares blinked at the nerds. It takes some serious balls to admit something like that in public, so good on the nerd. "I was just heading there just now," Apollo said excitedly. "I heard that if you get a certain sticker from all the JoJo stands, then you might win a contest to meet Araki." "Holy shit, I didn't know that," the blonde man said just as excitedly. "So, yes, for tonight it is, ma'am," Apollo nodded. The man knelt down as if preparing to propose. "Would you be the star platinum to my Part 3 Jotaro?" "What the fuck?" "Yes," Apollo squealed happily as the man stood up. The two hooked their arms and literally skipped away. With a sigh, Ares looked around. Apollo and his new friend had left him all alone, and he was bored. "Look at that guy, typical alpha male. What's he doing here?" A bunch of nerds a good distance away were pointing at him. "Dragon Ball fan, you think?" "Nah, looks more like JoJo, bro." "I'm thinking Baki." "Oi, nerds." Ares barked as he glared at the nerds that jumped in fright. "I have some questions for you." The god of war marched over to the shaking nerds, a scary frown on his face as he towered over them. "The fuck is Dragon Ball, JoJo and Baki?" The nerds blinked as they looked at each other. The one who seemed to be the leader stepped forward with his hand. Taiki was an introvert. She knew this, and she liked it that way. Most gods didn't like her for her. They just liked being around her because it gave them good luck. So she hid herself, with books being her best friend. Soon it went on to television, then comic books, anime, manga, and Taiki found herself a full-blown otaku. Her only other friend was Apollo, a fellow otaku, and Jobro. She planned on inviting him to come with her to Anime Con. This particular one was a special event that they was called Journey Across America. For 6 months, Anime Con would go from city to city in America. It was so exciting. But Taiki was an introvert. She was so socially awkward that she couldn't even have the guts to talk to, or mere mortals. But thankfully, she would have Apollo with her, the second most extrovert god she knew. Number 1 was her dad, the god of travel. Taiki went over to Apollo's to ask her friend to come with her, but to her horror and surprise, Ares was already there. She quickly hid behind the door and listened in on their conversation. Apollo was going to Anime Con just like she was, but Ares had a problem with his junk. Something. About a moose. The two then teleported away, making her pout. Apollo was her only friend. Well, there was someone else, but that cold bitch was more like a rival, really. Come to think of it, Ares appearing when he did was just rotten luck for her. Rotten luck for the goddess of good luck? This had Nemesis written all over it. That grumpy old bitch, thinking this will stop her. Taiki quickly ran over to Apollo's wardrobe and begun picking out an outfit. Nemesis would not mess this up for her. Naruto and Apollo had made their way over to the JoJo stand and had begun to buy as much merchandise as they could. it turned out. The sticker Apollo was referring to was supposed to be won in a contest. Only 2 tickets would be given out at each convention, and one had to have attended all the cons to get all the tickets. The contests varied, so each one would be different from the next. The blonde future knight and his girlfriend have won by default of awesomeness. Apollo blinked in confusion as he stared at the man handing them the stickers. That didn't seem right. Honestly, the god was prepared to fight his fellow nerds for the chance to see the great Iraqi. But good luck was good luck. Who was he to? Apollo's head snapped to the side, his godly eyes searching. A slooty Batgirl yelped as his eyes landed on her. Apollo waved as said Batgirl slowly approached. His would-be boyfriend seemed to notice him looking towards Batgirl. "Is that a friend of yours?" he asked as Apollo nodded. "Yep, Batgirl, you made it," Apollo said as Batgirl looked around nervously. You left me," Batgirl accused as she pointed a finger at him. "I didn't think you would want to come." Apollo was quick to defend himself, and it was true. He didn't think her introvert ass would want to show, but she showed. Good on her. "Meet my new friend. Oops, I didn't ask your name." "Mine's Apollo and my slutty Batgirl is Taichi," Batgirl muttered shyly. Apollo raised a brow at Taich. She was definitely blushing behind her crawl. Nice to meet you, Adonisi mean Naruto." "Taika, like the goddess of luck?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. The very same. Guess it's thanks to you we got an easy win. High five?" Naruto raised his hand as a nervous Taiki faced Apollo. "Don't leave the man hanging," he said as Taichi nodded sharply. She then backed up a bit. With her being on the short side, and Naruto's Adonis-like structure, she would need the space for a mighty jump. She leaped off the ground, slammed her hand upon Naruto's. There was a loud smack as everyone went silent. Before they all cheered, loudly. Taiki seemed to look at the cheering people with nervousness, but when her eyes landed on a smiling Naruto, it seemed to calm her down. "All right, guys, might as well go enjoy the rest of Con now that your good luck charm is here, Naruto," Apollo said, as his fellow blonde smiled, and Taiki looked away cutely. Apollo wrapped his arm around Naruto's as Taiki did the same to Naruto's other arm. "Let's go have some fun." And they did. Random pub. Naruto sighed happily. Today had been the one of the happiest days of his life. He had friends now, actual friends that had the same interests as him. It was great. Now he was seated in booth with Taiki leaning against him. Apollo had gone to get them drinks, so it had given him and Taish some time to get to know each other. Apparently she's Apollo and Ares, the big guy from before's cousin. Their entire family are a bunch of Greek fanatics to the point they named all their kids after gods. And goddesses. A bit weird, but who was he to judge? "Naruto, thanks for showing me a great time," Taisha said with cute smile, and honestly to Naruto, it was a breath of fresh air. The only other woman he's been this close with was Talia, and she was more of a seductress. Taika had taken off her mask, and Naruto could see she was indeed beautiful. Curly long brown hair and brown eyes with some freckles on her cheeks that made her just the most adorable thing ever. "I usually don't go out that much, but thanks to you, I'm considering going out more." "Glad I could help," Naruto said with a smile as Taika blushed. "Hey, Naruto, are you and Apollo like a thing?" Taika suddenly asked. "It's just earlier I heard someone say something about you and him being girlfriend and be boyfriend." "No, we're just friends, really," he answered with a shrug. What about like a girlfriend?" "Nope, I'm not dating anyone at the moment." Naruto laughed. "Sad, right?" "Not really. I'm not dating anyone either," Taika said with a sigh, a smile on her face as she looks at Naruto. "Naruto, if you suddenly liked someone, what would you do?" "Well, I would first take a feel of them. By that, I mean take into account what they like and see if our interests are the same or even close. Then, if they are, I would approach and ask if they'd like to go out with me. And if they say no, I respect their decision," he said as Taichi nodded. "Did you happen to see someone you like?" "Kinda," Taiki said as she looked down. "But I'm not sure if he likes me back." "Taichi, you're beautiful and have a cute character. Any guy or girl would be lucky to have you as a girlfriend," Naruto said with a reassuring smile. Truth be told, he liked Taichi. She had the same interests as him and a very cute character. Too bad she liked someone else. "Nah, Naruto, I like you and would like for you to be my date to the next con," Taichi said in one breath as Naruto's eyes widened. She liked him back? Naruto was so shocked beyond words at the good luck he was experiencing. The only thing he could do was laugh. He was laughing at her. The shame and embarrassment she was feeling was immeasurable and her day was ruined. As tears began to fill her eyes, Naruto stopped his laughing and looked her in the eye. I was actually planning on asking you to the con Naruto said as Taiki looked up at the blonde in pure shock. You like me? A shocked Taiki asked as Naruto nodded. Yeah, I had fun today. Honestly, this has been the best day of my life so far. Naruto had a small, sad smile on his face. My family don't like stuff like this, so before I left them, it was just work, work, and more work. I'm glad you like me back, Taichi said as she snuggled closer. She then punched Naruto in the stomach. The only reaction it got was a raised eyebrow. That's for laughing at me. She angrily glared. To Naruto, Taichi's glare was more of a cute pout. He was glad she liked him, and he really hoped things would go well between the two of them. Just then, Apollo approached, in hand with a large, muscular, black-haired man. Guys, this is Ben. He's my date for tonight, Apollo said, in a woman's voice. The entire day he did that, switching between a male or female voice just to see people's reactions. A natural-born prankster, Naruto respected that. Ben, this is my ex-boyfriend Naruto and my cousin Taichi. Naruto could smell a prank a mile away. Natural-born prankster. Nice to meet you, Ben. Naruto stood to his feet and stared down Ben. He held out his hand as Ben took it. Nice to meet you, Naruto, Ben greeted as they shook hands. Please join us, Naruto offered as Ben nodded nervously. They both took their seats. I ordered some drinks for us, so I'll be back in a minute. By the way, Naruto, don't scare Ben too much, Apollo said as he smiled. BRB. As Apollo left, Naruto stared at Ben firmly. So, how did you two meet? As the tall, over-handsome man asked the question, Ben couldn't help but have a quick flashback on how he met his date for the night. His nephew was attending some bullshit nerd convention, and he was tasked by his sister to take him and make sure he was safe. The hotel they were staying at was nearby, and after a day of hanging around a bunch sweaty, stinky geeks, he needed to chill and possibly get laid. So he hit up a nearby bar and was now drinking the stress of the day away. Bartender! He heard a man call. It was none of his business, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Yo, bartender! The young bartender was too busy flirting with some of the young women at the other side. Hey, fucker, I'm gonna come over there and shove my foot up your ass if I don't get any service. The man pounded his fist on the table, making Ben's drink fall over. Ben was about to punch the fucker when he paused. The fucker was a woman. Oh, I spilt your drink, my bad, bro, he said, and Ben did a double take. Dressed in a slutty Wonder Woman costume, long, luscious blonde hair, blue eyes, and red lips. This woman was beautiful, except she wasn't a woman. I'll got you a new one so as this asshole does his fucking job. The entire bar went silent. Even bartender who'd heard the shout and had come over was confused as fuck. What, can't a guy dress up and go out without being stared at? Everyone quickly went back to their business. What will you be having? Sir, the bartender asked nervously. I no longer feel like getting anything from here, so just a drink from my guy here, Wonder Woman said as he huffed. So, what's your name, handsome? Ben? Normally he was confident when he spoke to women, but this was different. And you? Name's Apollo, the long-haired blonde said. My ex-boyfriend is over there with his date, who so happens to be my cousin, and it's making me all jealous. Want to be my date for tonight and make him jealous? While it was a man's voice, it was still one of the most beautiful voices Ben had ever heard. I'll make it worth your while. Yeah, sure. Why not? That's pretty much it, Ben said as Naruto nodded. Good on you, Ben. Good on you, Naruto said. So, what do you do for hobbies? You're late, Apollo said as his brother sighed. I had to go all the way to Asgard for this, Hermes whined as Apollo rolled his eyes. Why do you want this much Asgardian beer anyway? Some friends and I are having a little party, Apollo said as Hermes held out a pen and some papers, which the blonde took. Can I join? Hermes asked hopefully, then back to his brother. Maybe next time? Yeah, sure, I have places to be anyway, so yeah, good luck with that. Apollo grabbed his package and left. For Ben, 2 cans of regular beer, Apollo said as he put down 2 beer cans for Ben. Naruto and Taiki, you get a bit of this. While Ben's beer cans looked normal, Naruto and Taiki's were gold. Apollo took a seat as he raised his golden can. To a great night. To a great night, Taiki said excitedly as they all raised their cans. The night progressed, and soon after, everybody went to their respective rooms. Ben groaned as Apollo straddled him. You ready for me to rock your world, big guy? Oh, God, yes, Ben groaned out as Apollo smirked sexily. Apollo leaned down and gave Ben the best kiss of his life. Come on, baby, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Ares yelled. He brought his hand up and then smacked his hand on the table. From his hand came a pair of dice. Ares the Awesome has rolled a 20, which is needed for him to swing his warhammer. The attack lands, and the giant Cyclops head has been smashed to pieces. The game master shouted as the room erupted into cheers. Ares raised his hands as his new friends cheered him on. Being the god of war, Ares demanded respect, but few ever gave it to him. He wanted to be praised and awed, but nobody really did that anymore. Well, his kids did, but it just wasn't the same. But these nerds, they looked up to him like he was a god, and it filled him with joy. Plus, he really liked Baki and JoJo. Anime were awesome. All right, the campaign ends here for tonight, the game master said as he begun packing up the board. That's it? But it was just getting good, Ares yelled as they all looked at him. First night is board night, the game master, or rather Clarence said as he pushed up his glasses. So we're playing Monopoly, Clarence said as he pulled out a Monopoly board. So what are the rules? Ares asked as he stared at a box that was now being set on the table. The fake money and tiny toy houses confused him. Clarence smirked as he pulled up his glasses. Well, Taiki nervously knocked on the door to Naruto's room. She liked him, and he liked her, so why wait? The door opened, revealing a shirtless Naruto. Hey, Taichi, Naruto greeted. Need anything? Well, Taiki said, as she looked down nervously. I was wondering if I could spend the night with my boyfriend. Or would that be a bit too naughty? I only have the one bed, Naruto said as he tilted his head to the side. That's perfect, Taiki jumped. We can share. Okay, I guess. Nemesis suddenly stood up from her chair. The balance was tilting. Someone out there was getting lucky, extremely lucky. Whoever they are, their luck was doubling by the second. Nemesis's power demanded she rectify this. This was an injustice. No one person should have this much luck. Growling, Nemesis quickly walked out of the bar she was in, her powers hard at work searching for the one she would bring justice to. As she got on her motorcycle and started it up, a name came to mind. Breadcrumbs Jr. III, New York. With a name and location, Nemesis begun her hunt. A was going to end there, but fuck it. He groaned as the random prostitute he had hired pleasured him, or at least tried to. The mortal was doing his best, but he just didn't compare to. With a disappointed sigh, he pushed the young man off him. The young man looked shocked at the action. What did I do wrong? I can fix, don't worry, doll. You're a fiend, he said with huff. It's just, what? Please tell me. I want to make you happy. The young man cried out, making him sigh. Look, it's not you, it's me, he said as he got off the bed, put on his pants, and pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket. Here, for your troubles. I don't want the money, I want you. Sleep, he muttered, as the young man's eyes rolled back before he fell asleep. That's the thing. I don't want you. He stood off the bed, threw his wad of cash on the sleeping. In a flash of lime green light, a cigarette appeared in his hand. The cig lit itself up before he put it to his lips. Inhaling, he breathed out green smoke that began to show an image. A smiling blonde who was giving a peace sign. I want what I can't have, he spoke, the image fading away. He ran a hand through his orange hair before smirking. He would get what he wanted. This little cat-and-mouse game would come to an end soon. I'm coming for you, my love. Just wait. Taiki moaned in pure ecstasy as her boyfriend kissed her neck. Earlier, she had gotten advice from Apollo, and he said to take charge. And so she did. When Naruto opened the door, she made her intentions clear and pushed him into the room. She went up to her tiptoes and kissed him. For a moment, he didn't respond, and she feared the worst. Before he kissed her and began to dominate, leading her to his bed where he gently laid her down. As he pulled back, Taiki shyly took off her top, giving Naruto a view of her naked chest. Beautiful breasts, topped with cute pick nipples. Naruto instantly froze for a moment, eyes wide before he dived down, attacking her neck and bringing her pleasure. His hands went to her breasts, making her moan even louder. He then began placing kisses down her body, slowly trailing down her body until he reached her lower body. His hands went to Taiki's pink booty shorts and pulled them down, showing she wore nothing underneath. Fuck, you're sexy, Naruto growled out as he stared at the clean-shaven pussy before he dived in. Taiki screamed in pleasure as the tongue went in her, going, please, that hadn't been touched in a long, long time. The blonde thrust his tongue into her pussy before pulling back, or rather trying, as Taiki clamped her thighs around his head. Don't stop. Oh fuck, please don't stop. The luck goddess moaned out, hands grabbing fistfuls of the blanket she was on top of. Naruto's surprisingly skilled tongue brought her to edge, and Taiki screamed as she came. Oh fuck yes! Taiki all but lost her strength as her legs let go of Naruto. Said blonde was already on top of her, panting as he smirked at her. He was smirking at the state he had left her in. You okay? Yeah, just give me a second. she muttered. Taiki could see the eagerness in his eyes. He wanted her. He wanted her so fucking bad. And Taika wanted him too. I'm ready, she breathed, watching as his eyes widened before quickly taking his shirt and shorts off. With his hard dick in hand, he lined it up with a slit and looked at her for confirmation. Taiki nodded before she gasped as she felt the huge head of his dick enter her. Fuck me, baby. And fuck her he did, thrusting into her with groans and grunts as she fucked him back with screams and moans. You're filling me up so good, she cried out, arms wrapping around his neck and bringing him in for a sloppy, passionate kiss while her legs wrapped tightly around him. Fuck, you're so tight, Naruto groaned out, loving how her insides squeezed him. Her heavenly body was bringing him to the edge. I'm about to come. Baby, hold on. Just hold on. Taiki called out as Naruto's thrust increased. We should come together. I want us to come together. Naruto mentally nodded to himself, making sure to stay laser-focused as he fucked his girlfriend. Soon enough, Taika's thrusts became even more intense. Fuck me, baby. I'm there. I'm coming. As Taich tightened down on him, Naruto lost his focus and exploded within her. As his orgasm died down, Naruto panted a bit. His healing abilities quickly go to work and return his stamina back. Let's take a break and... Let's keep going, Taiki said with a grin, as she sat up, her hand going to his already hardening dick in her soft grip. You're ready. Am ready, so let's keep going. Soon the positions were switched. Taiki pushed him onto the center of his unmade bed, and she threw the covers off to the end, leaving him on his queen-size cotton sheet. Naruto lay back on his pillows, and she climbed up over his crotch. Naruto, I want you in me again, Taiki said with a sly grin. Do you want to be in me? He nodded like a boy at a carnival being asked if he wanted free cereal. She smiled with a naughty expression. Then he watched as Tai grabbed his hard cock and began to rub it against the slippery soft folds of her tight pussy. Fuck, Naru, you have such a big cock, she said to him, because he really did. Then, she groaned as she slowly pushed him into her. Naruto watched as Taike sunk down slowly, enjoying every inch of his penis opening her pussy up. She loved the way he filled her. Oh, fuck, Naruto groaned. It was like he was experiencing her tight pussy for the very first time. Taike began to ride him. Big, gyrating hip circles. She was a cowgirl in control, and he was insanely turned on by every single new thing she did. You are so fucking sexy, Naruto blurted out, and Taichi beamed at his compliment. Not many people take the time to compliment her like this. Why her boyfriend just did. She was moaning these adorable noises each time he impaled her on the way down. They fucked slowly, full, and Taike took her time. Naruto was kind of glad he had his stamina back, because he would have come the second she began riding him. Taiki was really starting to feel a warmth flush over her body as her pussy adored the way he filled her up. She was getting close to orgasm. Naru, I'm gonna come soon, baby, don't stop, she said. He'd begun thrusting up into her when she lowered herself. The arousal was triplicating, and she couldn't remember the last time she was this wet with a mortal. Naruto fucked up into her and watched overjoyed as Taich began to ride him harder. Fuck. Yes, Naru. Fuck. Me. Baby. I'm gonna come. Her moans were like cereal, and her perfect body riding on his body made him feel like he was a newly minted god. Taike came hard. Naruto didn't stop fucking up into her as her moans made it clear she was orgasming on his dick. Taiki rode him until she couldn't ride anymore, and she crashed down onto his chest and rested her lips on his was whimpering, and her body was shuddering, with his cock still impaling her as she traced her mouth all over him. Oh, fuck. Yes, that was really good. She moaned. Naru. Made her, now that she had come, she wanted more. She wanted to finish him again. She wanted more of his cum. Taiki leaned over and they made out hard for a few minutes, as she sucked on his tongue and bit his lips and moaned into his mouth. She squeezed her pussy muscles around his still throbbing member. Then she was sitting back up and allowing his cock to slide slowly out of her. Taiki smiled at how long it took due to his size. Dalton once again watched her stand up. Only this time she turned around and straddled him reverse cowgirl. She looked over her shoulder at him, like the sexiest minx in the whole damn brothel. I'm gonna ride you until you fill my pussy up with your cum, Naru, she told him. And she once again lowered her sexy ass until he was pushing up into her wet opening. Cute and shy Taiti had now turned into a sexy deviant. She had taken charge. From this angle, Naruto got the full treat of her creamy butt, which was rounder than any girl he'd ever fucked. She had the perk and muscle of a high school girl, but the moves of someone with far more experience. Taiki leaned forward and her body began to ride him fast. bouncing up and down to squeeze her muscles over his dick and milk. The cum from him. She knew what she was doing. She knew how good her ass looked in this position. Naruto was going crazy from how good his cock felt inside her. He was not going to last any longer. Taihei rode him and they moaned together and she couldn't believe it, but she felt another orgasm coming on. Fuck, I'm gonna come, Naruto grunted out. Good boy. Yes, Naru, come for me. Fill me up with your cum. I want your cum so bad, baby. I want your hot. Cum in my pussy. Taiki really fucking fucked hard and fast, with all the potential energy of orgasmic buildup. I'm coming, Naruto finally groaned out. Fuck, baby, I'm coming, Totu, he yelled right after him as she clutched her breasts hard and squeezed her nipples while riding. Naruto's dick exploded inside of her clenching pussy and her own walls contracted and released. The stimulation was too much. Taiki's orgasm made her rumble all over, like the shiver of stepping into snow, barefoot. They collapsed. His softening cock slowly slipped out of her soaking pussy, cum pooling onto his pubic hair and balls. Oh my God, Naruto said as he breathed hard. Only one other had worked him this much, most just fainted after a while. Fuck, she moaned, curling up against his body and draping her leg over his as she lay down next to him. That was so fucking hot, Naruto muttered through his heavy breathing. Yeah, fuck, I can't believe we just did that, she said, smiling shyly like just hadn't fucked him. I did not expect that tonight, he laughed. Yeah, me either, she said with a relaxed moan, turning to him, but I'm very glad it happened. They kissed again. Ready for round 2? Taika asked with a grin that Naruto muched. After a quick shower, Naruto had gone out for a jog. He didn't have to, but the concept was beaten into him. Upon coming back, the blonde had bumped into his fellow blonde in the lobby. Said blonde was saying his goodbyes to Ben. Apollo, Naruto called, as Apollo turned to him. He was dressed in a pink robe, which again he wore perfectly. We need to talk. Upon hearing the seriousness in his voice, Apollo nodded. Let's go talk in the room, he said as Naruto followed him. Once there, Apollo took a seat on his bed while Naruto stood before with his arms crossed. So what's up? Apollo asked as he tilted his head. What are you? Naruto asked bluntly. Apollo raised a brow and was about to answer before one of the walls in the room suddenly exploded, forming a giant hole and sending dust flying everywhere. Naruto, upon instinct, dived for Apollo to cover him. As the dust settled, a figure could be seen walking towards them. Rizz Oneshot was a woman, with long red hair and mischievous eyes that flickered around like a flame. She had on a black shirt that had Jack Nicholson's face on it, some blue jeans and white tennis shoes. But the weird part was, she spoke in a man's voice. Apollo, my beloved, I have come She froze upon seeing them. What's going on here? Naruto was still on top of Apollo and turned from the mystery woman to Apollo. Who's she or he? That's my boyfriend, Loki, the Norse god of mischief, Apollo said with a frown. Of course he is, Naruto sighed, and he thought he was weird. Get off him, you filthy demigod, Loki growled out, her hands conjuring up green flames as she glared daggers at him. Honestly, he came out of a weird life only to stumble into an even weirder one. Naruto was frozen in fear as the red-haired woman glared at him. He'd seen some pretty weird shit in his time as an assassin, but this, another green fireball was thrown at Naruto, forcing him to move to the sides. With Apollo's slender form in his arms, the blonde was limited with his options. Every cell in his body told him to run, leave Apollo and run away from this monster, but he couldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Apollo was his friend, his one and only friend. You can put down Naruto, Apollo gently said as his hand came up and caressed his cheek. I can see your fear. It's okay, she won't hurt me. Just put me down and walk away. He wanna run. The assassin in him, Ras Al Ghul's son, remembered his training. When you face an opponent, you can't beat, run, and live to fight another day. See you, I won't run, Naruto said, biting his bottom lip to stop himself from trembling. I won't leave you. Oh, you lovely man, Apollo said with a smile. She then turned to her ex-girlfriend. Loki slowly lowered her hands as she took in the serious look Apollo was giving her. She had come here hoping to rekindle what they once had, a relationship that ended because Apollo didn't approve of how Loki viewed and treated her demigod children. If only Apollo knew. Naruto here is just a friend. The only reason he was on top of me was because of you. Apollo had a frown on his face that made her flinch. As the blonde demigod put Apollo down, Loki felt jealousy at the way Apollo defended the demigod. Look, Naruto doesn't know about us yet. I was going to break it to him gently, but With a snap of his fingers, everything in the room was fixed in an instant. Just keep your big mouth shut and let me handle this. Her mouth wasn't that big. Fine, but I'm not going anywhere. You and I have much to talk about, Loki said, as folded her hands under her large breasts. Honestly, the red-haired goddess didn't like how close the two were. Naruto, take deep breaths and tell me when you're calm, okay? Apollo asked soothingly, his hand caressing the mortal's cheek. I'm ready, the mortal said, a bit of steel in his voice. Usually this was the part where he whined, cried, and mopped about how this was all a big lie. But the blonde mortal kept himself together, which was surprising. My name is Apollo. I'm the Apollo, the god is, Olympian god. You met my brother not for long. Ares, the god of war, and my niece Tyche, the goddess of luck. Apollo kept his beautiful voice low as he calmly talked. I understand you and Tyche have something going on, but she would have told you eventually. Some people don't take this information well. They tend to be aggressive, and Tyche is a gentle soul that can't handle that type of stress. The mortal nodded. Usually they whined about how they were lied to and all that. This mortal wasn't like the rest. He was taking this well. So the three of us are gods belonging to Greek pantheon, and Loki over there belongs to the Norse pantheon. She gave the mortal a wave and a smirk. Nowhere comes the tricky part. Gods come down here to have fun or work stuff, but it's usually work stuff. We sometimes. Okay, most of the time end up finding love and having kids. Those kids being half good are called demigods. Apollo left out that sometimes it's not always half human. She would know, given one of her kids is a horse. Demigods can see the magical world, while normal mortals just remain oblivious thanks to something called the mist. Now, most demigods go about their days not knowing the truth, unless, of course, something out of the norm happens before them. Like you, for instance, you're a demigod. A full-grown one at that. You don't usually find those. One that doesn't know about their origins is, this Naruto just keeps on surprising. And that brings us to the next part, monsters. Almost all mythology monsters exist in some way or form, and their source of sustenance is demigods, whether young or old. It doesn't really matter for them, well, most of them. The more powerful the godly parent, the more powerful the demigod. Demigods usually have a downgraded version of their parents' powers. For now, we'll stop here. If you have a question. Yeah, Naruto said, as gave Apollo a serious look. You say all monsters in mythology exist, right? That got a nod from Apollo. Then what about CTHU? Don't even say it, and never think about it. Apollo had shushed Naruto, stopping him from finishing his death sentence. Loki was powerful. Not even Zeus could beat her in a one-on-one fight. But that thing scared her. As Naruto nodded, Apollo let go and stood up. You didn't have to shove your fingers in my mouth, Naruto said as he stood up as well. Of course I did, Apollo said nonchalantly. Anywho, go see Tyche while I deal with my ex. It's okay, pleased to meet you, Lady Loki. Naruto turned to her, the unsureness clear in his eyes. Pleasure is all mine, Loki said as she smirked. You're an interesting mortal, Naruto. Thanks, I guess, Naruto said before he slowly walked away. Now then, Apollo, What are you doing here? Apollo asked harshly, making her flinch. Wanted to see you, Loki said, the harsh glare Apollo was giving her, making her look to the side. I love you. We broke up because you're insane, Apollo said blankly. Besides, I've moved on. I've got my eyes on someone. Let me guess. It's Naruto? While Naruto is definitely my type, no, it's not him, Apollo said. Now leave. Can't you give me a chance? Loki desperately said. We're different, you and I. Sure, we both love parties and the sex is amazing, but our views are kind of different. I love my kids, and you despise yours. I just can't see myself with someone like that, Apollo said, making Loki look down in shock. He had rejected her, not even giving her a chance to explain herself. At least we can remain friends, right? Loki pleaded as she approached Apollo. You know I don't have many of those. That was true. Being a god of chaos, she tended to cause chaos a lot. Sometimes she didn't mean to, but no one understood. So they kept her at a distance, but then that damned prophecy. Apollo looked thoughtful, and Loki gave her best sad puppy eyes. Fine, we can remain together as friends. And friends don't make moves on their friends, so promise me you will not flirt with me or get jealous when someone flirts with me. Promise? I promise. I know you've crossed your fingers behind your back, Apollo said, his pink robes glowing before they transformed into a pink sweater and some tight blue jeans. His slippers turned into red sneakers. Apollo was beautiful, the second most beautiful on Olympus, in fact. First was that whore Aphrodite. For the past century, Apollo's been dressing like While they dated, she had brought up the topic of Apollo dressing as a woman rather than just being a woman. It wasn't that Loki was bothered by this, it was just that she was curious. The answer Apollo gave did not satisfy her at all. "I'll be going to a party soon to show Naruto the ropes. If you wish to come, you better behave," Apollo said, as a makeup kit floated before him. "Don't worry, I will." Telling her of all people to not misbehave was like taking a child to a toy store and telling them not to touch anything. So, you're not mad? "No, after all, I have secrets too," Naruto said as Tiki hugged him. "Like how I used to kill people for a living." "Oh, okay," Taichi said, burying her face in his chest. "So you're not mad?" "Well, more like I don't care. I'm a goddess who's lived for thousands of years. This might sound harsh, but I no longer care that much about mortals that don't affect my life directly." Taichi said it sounded selfish, but Naruto understood. If a random guy he didn't know died, he wouldn't care that much. "But that doesn't mean I don't care about you." "I care about you too, Taika," Naruto said, as he felt Taiki's hold on him tighten. "So what did you think of Loki? Hope she didn't scare you too much?" Taiki said as she smiled teasingly. "Don't worry, babe, I'll protect you from the big bad Loki." At the mention of Loki, Naruto's mind drifted to the beautiful red-haired goddess. What did he think of Loki? Scary, yes, but also absolutely beautiful. Long, beautiful red hair that partially covered her left eye, a green eye that twinkled with mischief. While Tyke had a beautiful body, she was more on the petite side. Loki, on the other hand, that woe goddess, was a femme fatale given form. She just screamed seductive, while Taiki would get a burst of courage and tease him. Loki seemed like the type of goddess to tease him full time. That damn teasing smirk. "Ninna rear hard," Taike yelped. Naruto's hands went to her butt and grabbed handfuls. "What?" Lifting her, he threw Taisha on the bed, watching her bounce as she looked at him in shock. A golden blush on her face. Filling that for later, Naruto began taking off his shirt. Soon his shorts followed suit as he got on the bed. Naruto didn't not yet, but he had an intense look that both scared and aroused Taike. "I'm going to fuck you now." Naruto grabbed Taiki's legs and spread them. A pair of pink panties between him and his prize. He gently lowered his face between her legs and hooked her panties between his teeth. Oh my, Ares. He groaned as he got up. It had been a while since something other than sex had tired him out. He heard a ping from his phone, which honestly he had forgotten he had. Grunting, he snapped his fingers as his phone appeared in his hand. Honestly, he didn't know where it was, but thank chaos for magic. Looking at the brown hair of the person on his chest, he gently removed them as he got off the bed. Checking his phone, he blinked at 1,000 missed calls and messages. All from his girlfriend, Aphrodite. Shit, they had a date yesterday. Opening up the last message he received, he winced as he read it. "You'll fucking get yours." With Aphrodite, that could mean anything. Who gives a fuck? The slut could make all the threats she wanted. She would come around, and they would head fuck. There was nothing Aphrodite could do to him, nothing that could hurt him. After all, she was Ares, the goddess of war. That wasn't right, Ares spoke as she rubbed her head. Feeling her long black hair, she frowned. "What?" She brought her hand in front of her face. It looked small. Feminine. "What the fuck?" Then there was her voice. It was rough but very feminine. It was almost like. She quickly rushed to the bathroom, heading straight for the mirror. Looks back at her was a very beautiful, tall, black-haired woman with fair skin, beautiful big breasts, a curvy figure, and a pussy. A very good-looking pussy at that, but that's beside the point. While she posed in front of the mirror, Ares couldn't help but groan. Great. She was going to have to apologize to that slut to get back to normal. Or she was not looking forward to that. "Tat Hat was amazing," Taish said with a grin as her boyfriend smiled back. "I don't know what got into you, but I like it." "I don't know either." Oh, Naruto had a pretty good idea of what got into him. "Apollo just sent me a message. He said we should prepare ourselves," Taiki said as she got out of bed. "We're going to a party." "So a shower?" Naruto asked as he got up as well. "Yeah, we could both use one," Taicha said as she stretched her naked body. "So who's going for?" "Both of us," Naruto blurted out, eyes focused on his girlfriend's naked body. "Naru, don't say stuff like that." Taiki was confusing at times. One moment she would be all cute and shy, and the next she would be teasing him and dominating. This usually happened during sex. Naruto walked over to his girlfriend and kissed her cheek. "After our shower, we could go shopping. I don't have anything for partying and my fashion sense is simply dreadful," he said, walked past Taiki and into the bathroom. "Actually, I'm not that good with fashion either," Taisha said as she followed him into the bathroom. taking the time to pinch his ass as she did. "Let's go shopping." "I have a feeling shopping with you is going to be much worse than doing it with my girlfriend," Naruto said as Apollo linked their arms. "Don't be like that," Apollo said with a grin as he began dragging Naruto around. "We have a party to get to, and we have to look our best." "I can't wait," Naruto muttered. Apollo quickly dragged him into their first stop, a wedding dress store. "What do you want, Nemesis?" Taike growled as her ultimate enemy, her. Nemesis stood before her. "You know what you did, Tishe?" growled Nemesis. "You gave your little boy toy an insane amount of luck. The balance has tipped in his favor, and I cannot allow that. Either you take away his luck or I kill him," Nemesis said before her eyes widened at the glare Taichi was sending her way. The power behind that glare actually made her take a step back. "You even lay a single finger on him and you will know my fury." The room was shaking as Taike the goddess released her power. "Begone from my sight." You don't understand, damn it. My powers will take action and Naruto Uzumaki will know only pain and suffering. My power will do everything it can to counter your power if it means giving him all the bad luck in the world. It will." Nemesis said her power was beyond her control. If it wanted Naruto, it would have him. It wasn't like she loved giving people justice, but a part of her was a goddess of balance. One man alone could not tip the balance in his favor and expect to get away scot-free. "You always act like this when I find someone I love. Even my children you murder just to satisfy your selfish sense of justice. Now leave before I make you leave." Taike growled out, eyes now glowing blue with power. I'm sorry about your children. I really am," Nemesis said as she turned around. "I warned you." With that, she left, leaving behind a crying Taike. It wasn't like Nemesis loved to spend her life messing up Taichi's life, or anyone's for that matter. But Taike was so powerful, even the mere act of her thinking about someone made that person lucky. Her fucking them would increase that luck tenfold. Her demigod children tended to inherit her luck, and it tipped the balance in their favor at anything they do. If they apply for a job they are not qualified for, it's a fact they will get it one way or the other. Nemesis's power didn't like that at all, so it gave them bad luck, so much bad luck that it killed them, punishing them for simply existing. "Whoever you are, Naruto, I'm sorry for the horror you're about to experience." With that said, she got on her motorcycle and went to look for him. Her power demanded she find him, and she would not fail. Pastor Nick was shocked beyond belief when two blondes came up to his church asking to be married right there on the spot. The man looked reluctant, and the woman looked excited beyond belief. He would have sent them away, but they were both dressed up. The beautiful bride in her white wedding dress and the handsome groom in his black tux. Seeing no harm in that he let them marry, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Mr. Groom, you may kiss your bride." And then everything went to shit. "Olympus police, put your hands in the air, motherfucker," the bride said as she pulled out 2 golden 50. GS from Zeus knows where. See, Pastor Nick ran a demigod trafficking ring. Yep, monsters were willing to do anything to get their hands on some demigod meat. And he was an asshole willing to do anything for money, and monsters had a lot of treasure they didn't have use for and would give it to him if he gave them demigods, simple as that. It was easy money, but then this shit happened. The monsters hidden all over the church burst out of their hiding places and rushed the two. Pastor Nick had quickly decked down and slowly crawled away as the fighting broke out. Olympus police? What the Hades was that? He'd never heard of that before. The loud bangs of the guns made him flinch, but he pressed on. Suddenly something came crashing down from the roof, taking out whatever monsters were unlucky enough to be there. "The fuck is going on?" the figure asked before the smoke and gold dust cleared. It was a woman. She was dressed in a tight white shirt with a black leather jacket over it, blue jeans and black combat boots. The black-haired woman held a big-ass sword over her shoulder as she looked around in boredom. "Why'd you call me Apollo?" "Apollo? Oh, you know," the bride shrugged as she fired at another monster. This time she had 1 gun. She must have given the other one to her husband. "Trying to save our kids from being eaten." "What?" Nick felt the air turn cold. He looked at the new woman and froze at the look of rage on her face. "Who the fuck messed with my kids?" The red aura of death surrounded the woman before she swung her sword and everything went black. "Well, that happened," Apollo whistled as he looked around. "Ares, I think you went a bit overboard." "Overboard? We're standing in a huge-ass crater." Naruto said from behind Apollo the blonde had taken cover behind his would-be wife. "My bad. For some fucking reason, someone messing with my children just pissed me off," Ares said as she looked at her hand with a frown. "Don't worry about it. Job's done. Also, Hermes got the kids out in time, so let's go party." Apollo grinned as Ares shrugged and her big-ass sword disappeared. "I'm game." Ares grinned as she approached them. By the way, Aphrodite did this to me. I was wondering if you could fix this? Lucky for us, no. Dite has to undo this herself, Apollo said as he dusted his dress. Now let's go party in the desert. Excuse me, Sadly, Naruto didn't get to finish his sentence. Naruto was hit with a flash of lights as they appeared in the club. As his sight adjusted, he was met with something amazing. People, or rather humanoid creatures of different colored skin, were dancing and partying like no tomorrow. The place was freaking huge. Naruto had to rub his eyes because the blonde couldn't believe the sight before him. There was a woman with blue skin, a man with white wings on his back, and another woman who was made of wood, also a half-woman, half-horse. Take it in slowly or you'll burn out, Apollo said from his side. Ares had simply gone off to do her own thing. Naruto, just find something to do, I'm off to see a friend. With that, Apollo walked off, his wedding dress turning into a sleeveless, slutty version. Guess I'm on my own, Naruto thought as he looked around. He wasn't much of a dancing man, so he decided to find a place to sit. And the only place to sit was by the stripper poles. They were currently empty for some reason, but who was he to look a gift horse in the mouth? Taking a seat, the blonde began processing what today has brought him. First gods and goddesses, then he had to stop a trafficking ring run by monsters, and now this place. Also, he was banging a goddess. Hey everybody, Lord Apollo is here to sing us a song. The announcement was met with cheers from the crowd as they all gathered near a stage. So that's why no one was at the stripper poles. Apollo walked on stage with a beautiful smile as the cheers got louder. This one goes out to all you sexy motherfuckers. A microphone appeared in his hand. Apollo began to sing. The song was a low, sexy one. Naruto found himself enjoying the song, as did the rest of the club. Everyone had found a partner and were grinding against each other. Hey, lover, Naruto turned his gaze from the stage to the stripper poles, and there Loki was. You seem lonely. See, I'm just waiting on Apollo, Naruto said as Loki smirked. That damn smirk that turned Naruto the fuck on. Why don't I give you a little dance while we wait? Loki slowly floated down from the stage and was now in front of Naruto. What say you, lover? I don't think Taiki would like that, Naruto said as Loki laughed. Don't worry, lover. Taiki is thousands of years old. You think she'll care if her boyfriend gets a lap dance. She won't, and it's just a dance. Loki said as she placed her hands on his thighs and leaned down to his level. Again, what say you, lover? Or just a dance? You won't regret this, lover, Loki said as she stood up straight and began taking off her shirt, freeing her large bra-covered breasts. She then went to her jeans and took them off as well, leaving her in only a lacy red bra and matching thong. Her heels were still on, so it confused Naruto how the fuck she took her jeans off without taking off her black heels. Loki then began dancing, slowly moving her hips to the beat of Apollo's song. Her hands slowly went up and down her body, making sure to look Naruto right in the eye. She slowly took a step forward, turned, and showed her beautiful ass to Naruto. From the blonde's perspective, that thong did absolutely nothing to hide that magnificent ass. It was just a black string. You like that, lover? Loki asked in a sexy voice as she shook her ass a bit. Yes. Naruto was in a daze, dazed by the ass that was presenting itself to him. His body wanted nothing more than to grab one of those cheeks, or at least clap them. Good. Loki turned around and proceeded to straddle Naruto. Oh, fuck, you're so hard for me, lover, moaned the goddess as her covered pussy met his covered cock. Loki's hands wrapped around his shoulders and she began moving, gyrating her hips and making sure to grind against her lover. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, shit, Naruto grunted out as his hands went to Loki's ass and grabbed handfuls. This action caused the goddess on him to let out a hungry moan. That's it, lover. I'm all yours. Loki moaned as Naruto played with her ass, the raging cock beneath her feeling her with a desire as she ground against it. Oh, fuck, you want me, don't you, lover? Naruto was too busy playing with her ass to respond, so she grabbed his head and kissed him, making sure her tongue went into his mouth and wrapped around his. Naruto quickly responded by trying to wrap his around hers, and so the duel of tongues was on. A few seconds later, Loki pulled back. Don't worry, lover, just swallow the pills. The goddess had left 2 pink pills in Naruto's mouth that the blonde quickly swallowed. They'll make you feel good. Now drugs didn't affect Naruto on account of his healing factor. But these pills. Naruto's eyes widened and his senses went into overdrive. Loki's beautiful scent hit his nose and he dived in for another kiss, wanting to taste her. I want your cock, lover, moaned Loki as one of her hands went underneath her and unzipped his pants, freeing his dick. He was wearing boxers, but Loki had somehow bypassed that. Now his cock was in her hand. She gently ran her hands over the head and smeared the glops of pre-cum all over it. I want you to fucking come for me, lover. With on last kids, she got off Naruto and instead knelt in between his legs. She looked Naruto in the eye as her hand went up and down, giving him a hand job of a lifetime. Do you like this? Fuck yeah, groaned Naruto. I'm so fucking so close. I want your fucking seed. And with that, Loki proceeded to open her red lips. And Naruto watched as she placed his throbbing cock between them and sucked him in. Surt was not angry at all. He wasn't pissed at the fact that he was nowhere near starting Ragnarok. He wasn't pissed that Loki was prancing about the godly realms as a fucking woman. The little whore had completely forgotten about Ragnarok, about him. As the room burst into flames and the various weaklings that dared call themselves Jotun began running around like headless chickens, Surt came to a conclusion. He was beyond pissed. To Loki, everything was a game. Summoning his sword Leviatine, Surt was ready to sit down before you get yourself killed, boy, a voice said, making him pause. Dares, he growled out as he looked around the room. Show yourself. I dare, boy. In a flash of yellow light, a young boy appeared before him. The boy had white hair and yellow soul-piercing eyes. For some reason, he had a bandage on his cheek. He was dressed in a large white shirt that had a smiling clock face on it, small green shorts, and he was barefoot. It's been a while, boy. Do I know you? Surt asked, sword ready to cleave the little fucker in. Oh, right. This is the form I've taken. Let me remind you. At that, the boy flared his power, making Surt freeze in place. Remember me now, boy? Of course he remembered. How could he forget that monstrous power? Kronos, he said as the boy laughed. Got it in Uin, the boy clapped. You're a smart one, which begs the question, why do you want to kill yourself? I wasn't going to kill myself, Surt scoffed. What are you doing here anyway? Stopping you from going to confront Loki and getting yourself killed, Kronos said, yellow eyes narrowing. I've also come with to. Let me guess. Form some sort of alliance? Surt asked as he turned away. I know you, Kronos. Working with you actually means working for you. So, I refuse. Surt knew Kronos was more powerful than him, but he could not work with the Titan even if it was to save his life. You will regret this, Surt, Kronos said before vanishing. Kronos didn't bother with forcing people to join him. If you're weak-minded enough to be strong-armed into picking a side, then you're not worth it. It's a good philosophy, one he too practiced. With his mind now calm, Surt went back to his seat. He was almost going to track down Loki and force her to start Ragnarok, and she would have killed him for it. It was going to be a hard battle, but she would have killed him in the... All he had to do now was wait. Wait for what? Who the fuck knows? But Ragnarok was definitely not happening anytime soon. Unless, of course, Loki got pregnant and was at her weakest moment. Yeah, right. What are the odds of that ever happening? Nemesis didn't care much when her power suddenly teleported her into a club. She went straight for where her power told her to go. Naruto was nearby, and she would end him before he suffered great loss. Without care for anyone, she walked in a straight line and shoved anyone in her way. Naruto Uzumaki was hers now, and nothing would stop her, not even someone giving him a B-blow job. At first she faltered, but then she shook it off. Walking over to the blonde and his red-haired lover, she opened her mouth to speak, only for a hand to cover her mouth, making her eyes widen. I could feel your intentions from across the room. Standing before Nemesis was the red-haired lover of Naruto Uzumaki. But at the same time, she could clearly see another version of the redhead blowing him. You're not going to ruin my fun. The glowing green eyes told Nemesis that this goddess was someone powerful. I have no idea what you want with Lover Boy, but you have to wait while I have my fun. The goddess looked thoughtful for a moment before she smirked. Rather than wait, why don't we all have fun together? Now be a good little girl and open your mouth for Mommy Loki. As Loki's hand left her mouth, she felt a foreign power take her over and her mouth forcefully opened. Oh, fuck. From the side, Naruto groaned loudly as the second Loki sped up her bobbing. I'm coming. As Naruto ejaculated into the Loki on his dick, the Loki in front of Nemesis quickly kissed her. A sloppy kiss that had a lot more to it. Nemesis felt a bunch of pills in her mouth before they were suddenly washed down by something warm, thick, and salty, filling her mouth and going down her throat. Oh, chaos, no. Her eyesight began to blur, and loud club music began to sound a lot like background music. Her body felt sensitive, a bit too sensitive as Loki began running her hands around Nemesis's body, one hand groping her breast and the other squeezing her ass. This action made her moan out loud. Just a little gift from an old friend, Loki smirked. As she grabbed Nemesis by the back of the neck and began leading her to kneeling, Loki pulled back, revealing Naruto's large cock. Now kneel. Now put that fucking cock in your mouth, Loki said as she grabbed the large dick and slapped her with it. Nemesis would have burned the damn thing as soon as it touched her face. But now she willingly put the head in her mouth. Now suck, Nemesis began to lower herself on the large dick, trying and failing to fit the whole thing. She'd never done this before. She tended to be the dominant one in all her relationships. As the thing hit the back of her throat, she gagged and tried to pull back. Keyword, tried. You look like you need some help. Suddenly, Nemesis felt herself grabbed and forcefully pushed down. Yeah, choke on that cock, you bitch. The whole thing was shoved down her throat, and Loki held her down. As she suffocated on the cock of the man she was here to kill, Nemesis just hoped no one could see her. Aphrodite appeared in a flash of pink light at the Oasis, a club owned by the Egyptian god Seth. Here, it didn't matter which pantheon you belonged to, so long as you didn't cause trouble you could party all night long. Aphrodite is a blonde-haired goddess with blue eyes, wearing a white dress that stuck to her body like it was wet, and cream high heels. Time to forget that jerk of a boyfriend and get myself a good fuck, Aphrodite said as looked around. What's with you Greeks showing up to my club? A voice called as Aphrodite turned to see a woman approaching. First Apollo, Ares, and Nemesis. Now you. Hello, Seth, Aphrodite greeted the now named Seth. Seth has long, pinkish red hair, red eyes, and was dressed in a tight, sexy bunny girl suit, complete with the ears on top of her head. I didn't know those two were here. Seth just shrugged her shoulders. So Apollo's here, but she's playing hard to get, Seth said as she began playing with a strand of her hair. Want to help a gal out? At first glance, one would see Seth as a beautiful goddess wearing a sexy bunny girl suit. But that completely flat chest told a different story entirely. Apollo's been playing around a lot lately. I don't think she wants a relationship right now. But if it's for a good time only, then just make your intentions clear, Aphrodite said as Seth nodded smirk. By the way, have you seen Ares? Oh, she's over by the bar, Seth said as she chuckled. Didn't know Ares was now the goddess of war. He's not. I did that to him as punishment, Aphrodite said as she smirked. I bet he hates being a goddess. I don't think she does, Seth said as she pointed at the bar. Aphrodite followed the finger to see a black-haired woman staring at something. Aphrodite followed her gaze and was surprised to see a blonde man getting a double blowjob from two women. No way, Aphrodite whispered. She's turned on. She's fucking turned. So what are you going to do about it? Seth asked, as her red eyes twinkled. You gave her a punishment and she doesn't care. You can't let her get away with this. No, I won't, Aphrodite growled out as she stomped her way to her girlfriend. Love chaos, Seth said as she licked her lips. Welp, better get my dick. If it isn't my girlfriend, Aphrodite said as she approached a seated Ares. Hey, babe. Ares didn't even bother to look at the love goddess. Her gaze focused on Naruto. You miss it, don't you, getting your dick sucked? Aphrodite smirked as Ares twitched. Bet you wish it was you there, huh? Yeah, Ares whispered. Her gaze glazed over as she watched the live sex show intently. I could make it happen. Aphrodite stepped closer and put her lips to Ares' ears. With a snap of my fingers, it'll be you there. I'd like that. I bet you would. All you have to do is apologize, Aphrodite whispered as her hand went to one of Ares' huge breasts and groped it. Just say you're sorry. No, Ares muttered, her face flush as her breathing quickened. Damn bitch, Aphrodite squeezed harder, making her girlfriend moan even louder. You like that, you bitch? You always did like it rough. Aphrodite's hands went down and unbuttoned the war goddess's jeans. The love goddess then jammed her hand past the black panties and straight to the untouched pussy. Fuck! What are you doing to me? Ares groaned out as her girlfriend began rubbing her pussy. Me? Nothing much, just bring out your inner slut. So what do you think? Apollo asked as Seth stood up from her kneeling position. Well, I'm both amazed and dumbfounded at how much of a dumbass Aphrodite actually is, Seth answered as she wiped her mouth. I took a look at Ares, and Aphrodite did more than just a gender swap. She went right for his core being and twisted it. I gather when she cursed him, her thoughts were more or less along the lines of slut, bottom, bitch, and other such things. She really wanted to hurt him, so stripped away what made him, making an entirely new being out of it. So what you're saying is my brother is dead? Apollo asked, shocked. More or less. Having breasts and pussy doesn't really add much to one's personality. It's their memories. Ares would have gone to her father and have him break the curse no problem, but she didn't. The memories she has are basically useless. They do nothing but show her that, hey, you were a guy once. Her mind will adjust itself and edit out the male bits. That seems like it's going to be hard for her. Actually, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, it's going to happen in like 30 minutes and go over smoothly, Seth said as she smirked. Can't wait for the chaos that will ensue when Zeus finds out Aphrodite can literally wipe a deity's personality, turn them into something else entirely. That could cause a problem, Apollo muttered. He'd for sure make. So you're going to take Ares to Zeus and break the curse, all right? Well, it's going to be permanent and irreversible in 30 minutes. A new personality will take over, and Ares, the god of war, will be no more. Seth said she looked at Apollo with a raised eyebrow. So you'd rather save Aphrodite from being destroyed? I mean, Ares is still alive. No, he's not. And she seems a lot of fun. Oh, sometimes I forget. Forget what? Apollo blinked as Seth shook her head. That you're a twisted bitch, Seth replied blankly. Whatever, Apollo replied. Yes, mistress. God, I hope I don't forget. Nemesis moaned as the man she was here to kill sucked on her nipple like a madman. Between her legs was the red-haired form of Loki, lapping away at her pussy. Her skin felt too sensitive as she was sexually pleasured beyond belief. Naruto's face went from sucking on her hard nipple to her neck, and then his lips met hers, whilst his hand grabbed on her breasts and groped it. They'd been at it for a while now. Loki and Naruto had been toying with her body and making it their plaything. It was inevitable that she would come, and she did. Oh, chaos! She moaned out as she broke the kiss with Naruto. Her dark-skinned body was covered in a light shin of sweat as she panted. That's delicious. Loki's face popped up from between her legs, a smirk on her face as she wiped it clear of cum. Looks like you've been holding it in for a while. I wonder what will happen when you get fucked. Nemesis tried replying before she was suddenly flipped onto all fours. She groaned as she felt the fat head of Naruto's cock press against her wet pussy. The blonde had purposely held his cock and rubbed up and down her slit. Nemesis's body shivered as she pressed her ass back, her body begging to be fucked. The blonde demigod behind her grabbed her butt in a firm grip before he thrust it in. Nemesis moaned loudly as pleasure rolled through her body. Yeah, you like cock, don't you? Nemesis's hair was roughly grabbed as she was forced to look up. She was met with the face of Loki, green eyes looking at her in amusement. You like that, you slut? Nemesis tried, she really did try to say no. But her body, and the constant fucking she was receiving. Yes, she moaned, hating the smug smirk on Loki's face. The other goddess looked away from Nemesis and up to Naruto. That's it, lover, fuck her. Put a fucking baby in her, make her a mommy. Loki ordered, and Naruto instantly obeyed, his thrusts becoming more intense, making the Greek goddess go over the edge. You would like that, wouldn't you, slut? Tell him how much you want his cum. Want you to put a baby in me, the goddess panted as she was. This is the part you ask me out, Loki said as she smiled. I'm pretty sure we are way past that, Naruto said as he looked around. Where are we anyway? Asgard, Loki replied nonchalantly. So aren't you going to ask me out? All right, Jessica Rabbit, want to go out with me? Naruto asked as his naked form stood off the bed. Sure, I have nothing better to do, Loki shrugged before she stood up as well. Who's Jessica Rabbit? Naruto stared at Loki with a blank look as she stared back at him with confusion. Seriously? What? Is there something on my face? No, it's just that you look a lot like her. Oh, is she beautiful? My childhood would like to think so. Is that a compliment? From the bottom of my heart, Naruto replied, before he walked over to the goddess and swept her off her feet. Into a bridal carry. Damn, you're gorgeous. You just fucked me for 18 hours straight. Don't you want to rest a bit? Loki said with a giggle. Barely remember that, so? With that said, Naruto threw her back on. Oh my, you big brute. Hey, Naru. Hey, Apollo, Naruto greeted as his friend came and hugged him. Missed you so much, Apollo said as she pulled back. Looking good. I love the new costume. Thanks, Loki picked it out, Naruto said as he held out hands. His outfit was green and gold robes that were slightly armored, with a golden helmet that had large horns on it. Of course she did. Did she even tell you why she picked it out? Apollo said with a smirk. Nope. Used to wear that back in the day, Apollo said as she watched Naruto. Naruto shrugged before smiling. So what you wearing? Oh, this, Apollo said as she did a spin. She was dressed in white armor with gold pauldron, gold gauntlets, a white extremely short skirt, and some booty shorts. Do you like it? I don't know where it's from, but yeah, I like, Naruto said as stared at Apollo. Stop looking at me with those eyes. Apollo yelled with a blush as she pretended to cover her form. The outfit looks familiar, but at the same time it doesn't. It's Shea Rabut with my own personal touch, Apollo explained as Naruto. I can see that, Naruto said as a figure approached them. Hey guys. Apollo and Naruto turned to find the new Aries walking towards them. Cool costumes. Thanks, Naruto said with wide eyes. Big sis, you look great. Apollo cheered as Aries looked to the side with a golden blush on her face. Thanks, an extremely embarrassed Aries said as she looked at the ground. My girlfriend picked it out. When Apollo wore the Wonder Woman outfit, she more or less looked like an extremely gorgeous, slutty take on the iconic character. But when Aries wore it, it was like looking at the actual Diana of Strong and Beautiful. Long, black, curly hair that was held back by a red gold tiara and blue eyes. While Apollo's Wonder Woman was dressed to be a slut, Aries was practically dressed for battle. Red chest plate with the blue armored combat short skirt. A sword in her right hand and a round shield in her left, along with a red cape tied around her neck. Speaking of girlfriends, Apollo said, making Naruto jump and look away from Aries. How'd things between you and Taichi go? Actually pretty good, Naruto said as he smiled. Though she is still pissed at me for having sex with Nemesis. What about Loki? She was fine with that, Naruto shrugged before he remembered. Actually, Loki said she wanted to talk to Taiki about something. Wonder how that's going to go, Apollo said before shrugging. Anywho, let's go have fun. Right, and win the damn thing while we're at it. Dream on, bitch, I'll win this, Apollo said before she broke into a ran. Naruto turned to Aries. Shall we? The goddess nodded before they followed after Apollo. Want Naruto? Loki said nonchalantly, making TK look at her with, What? Why? Because. That's not an answer, damn it, Taichi said as she glared at the redhead. Look, Naruto is a mystery, and I like mysteries. For a mortal, he sure is interesting, and I want to know why he is who he is, Loki said before she smirked. Plus, the sex is pretty great. You can have any man you want, and you decided to have him? Why? Taike growled out. Why my Naruto? He interests me, Loki said as she played with a strand of her hair. Look, how about we compromise? You do the lovey-dovey stuff with him, and I do the fun stuff with him. What? But I also want to do fun stuff with him, Taiki said. He's What's the big deal? I had sex with Naruto and it doesn't bother you that much. Loki asked in annoyance. Just let me have fun with him. Go on a getaway trip through the godly realms and meet people. See his reaction to all that this world has to offer. Something your antisocial ass can't do. Taiki flinched a bit at that last statement. I don't care about Naruto having sex with you. What I do care about is him falling for you. What if he falls in love with you and even worse, you fall in love with him? Look, kid, I'm not the type to fall for mortals that easily, Loki said with a wave. So either I take him by force or we share. Which one is it gonna be? This sword is the real deal, Naruto said as he looked at Ares' sword. He was holding it for her while she picked out merchandise. Perfectly balanced. Thanks, I made it myself. Ares said in her arms was a ton of anime merch. You know your weapons, huh? Yeah. My old life required me to learn this stuff, Naruto said with a faraway look. One would say weapons are a part of me. We should spar sometime, Ares suddenly said as she looked at Naruto. I would lose in an instant, Naruto replied with a laugh. Oh, really? Ares asked with a raised eyebrow. Why's that? Apart from you being the literal goddess of war, I bet you have more experience with fighting than I do, Naruto said with a shrug. Plus you have magic, but even without magic, you could easily beat me. A man who knows when not to fight, I like tat, Ares said with a small smile. Thanks, Naruto said with a blush. It was like Wonder Woman herself was smiling at him. If you two are done flirting, they are about to announce the winner, a pouting Apollo said as she glared at the two. You literally forgot I was here, you big meanies. I have no idea what you're talking about, Naruto said, as before Apollo grabbed his arm. Apollo dragged Naruto away. They are about to announce the... Wait, he has my sword, Ares yelled as she quickly followed after them. All right, folks, it's time to announce the winner. The announcement came as Apollo, Ares, and Naruto stood at the front. Everyone else had given up on even hoping to win. These three had it in the bag. The winner is Wonder Woman, the announcer said as everyone burst into applause. There were a few Wonder Woman cosplayers around, but none of them stepped up. None could compare to the beautiful form of Ares as she walked up to the stage and received her prize. And now for our second and final winner. Hold me, Apollo said as she grabbed his arm and held it. Naruto just chuckled as they waited. It was obvious one of them was going to win. But who? Winner is Jessica Rabbit in the white sea captain uniform. Everyone blinked as an extremely confused Loki stepped on stage. Honestly, did not see that coming, Apollo said as they stared at Loki with, "Me neither," Naruto said as he began clapping. "Yeah," he cheered as the rest of the crowd joined in. "So, how are things with your new girlfriend?" Apollo asked. "Going well at first, but we hit a bump in the road," Aphrodite answered. "I wonder why that is," Loki said with a smirk. All three goddesses were currently seated on the bleachers for some random school they found. Apollo was dressed in a sexy golden cheerleader costume now, complete with gold-colored pom-poms. Aphrodite was dressed in a pink tracksuit that hugged her body tightly and her long blonde hair was tied in a ponytail. But it was obvious the top was failing to completely hold the love goddess's breasts. "So, things have been going great between Ares and I. The sex even better. So, I decided to surprise Ares. I called over a couple of minor gods for a gangbang," the love goddess said as she sighed. "I take it that didn't go well?" Loki smirked as Aphrodite pouted. She asked to fight them, and if they beat her, she would give them her virginity. "It's safe to say that it didn't go as planned?" Apollo grinned. "It wasn't even a fight really, just a one-sided beatdown," Aphrodite muttered. "Now she's pissed at me and doesn't want to talk to me." "What did you expect? Does Ares look like the kind of gal to be into a gangbang?" "You jumped the gun a bit early on that one," Apollo said. "Should have started with an all-girls gangbang first." Loki pointed out. "Yeah, not my smartest moment," Aphrodite said before smirking. "So what's up with you two?" "What?" Apollo asked in confusion, while Loki stayed silent. "The fact that both of you are after the same guy?" Aphrodite's smirk was absolutely savage now. "I can feel it, both of you want to fuck this guy. Actually, I've fucked him multiple times," Loki grinned as she turned to Apollo. Not sure what's up with her on the other hand. "What? I can't like people," Apollo yelled with a blush. "Plus I met him." "Well, he's mine now," Loki's eyes twinkled in amusement. "I'm pretty sure he's dating Tyke. We came to, and you understanding. This is revenge for me dumping you." "I don't know what you're talking about." The grin on Loki's face told a different story. "Oh, finally, they're here." The goddess turned to the entrance as a figure in armor walked into. "Finally here." Floating above was Ares, still in her Wonder Woman. "Yeah, well, Loki's outfit was a bit of a pain in the ass to take off," Naruto said as he grinned. The blonde's outfit was his Deathstroke armor just without the helmet. 2 katanas strapped to his back along with 2 pistols strapped to each of his thighs. "Shall we begin?" Ares slowly floated to the ground and stood opposite him. "Let's." In the blink of an eye, both vanished from their spots and appeared in the middle of the field, trading blows with their fists. Naruto was easily keeping up with the grinning goddess as she punched him in the face and he punched her back. Soon Naruto went on the defense as the war goddess increased the speed and strength behind her blows. Naruto increased his as well, and the two became blurs. "Holy shit," Aphrodite gasped as they watched the two fight it out. "I know Ares is holding back, but damn, that's minor god level is speed and strength right there. You guys want to take a guess at who Naruto's godparent is?" Apollo smirked as Aphrodite looked thoughtful. "I'm thinking of Zeus," Aphrodite said as Loki frowned. Somehow, Aphrodite was now seated in Loki's lap while the other goddess fondled her large breasts. "I've met children of Zeus before, and they are not that strong or fast," Loki said as she played with Aphrodite's huge breasts. "Maybe one of the Titans roaming around?" "It's Demeter." "Wait, for real?" That's surprising," Loki blinked, hands still playing with giant soft melon-sized orbs. "She may be high-ranked, but she's kind of weak and pathetic." "In terms of power, yes, but she can manipulate like the best of them. She's a fan of playing long games. Hiding behind a mask of motherly love, only 3 of us know what she's really like. A cunning, wicked bitch of a goddess with a knack for manipulating events in the background," Apollo said as they watched the two fight. Naruto was keeping up with Ares who, while not at full power, was still moving pretty fast. "Naruto is not normal even by demigod standards. He fucked me in Nemesis all night long," Loki whispered into Aphrodite's ear. This had the effect of making the love goddess shiver. Nemesis blacked out. You should have seen his thick, long cock going in and out of the poor goddess's asshole. Just imagine if he fucked Aretha. Aretha. "We can't keep on calling her Ares now, can we?" Loki chuckled before she ripped off the track top, letting the love's goddess's breast bounce free. "You naughty girl, didn't even wear anything inside." "It was a surprise for Aretha," Aphrodite moaned, as Loki began playing with her nipples. Naruto grunted as Aretha punched him in the gut. She was getting faster now. Thinking fast, the demigod stepped back. Aretha was relentless and she followed him. a large grin on her face. The blonde just needed to grab one of his weapons, and for that he needed an opening. The war goddess aimed a punch for his cheek, and Naruto let it happen. While Aretha's punch landed, it left her open, and Naruto punched her back just as hard. Both combatants staggered back, and Naruto took his chance to grab one of his pistols. The blonde aimed and fired it right at a surprised Aretha's face. The goddess instantly blocked the bullets with her armbands. Naruto fired at Aretha, and she easily deflected his bullets just like the actual Wonder Woman would. Soon his gun was out of bullets, and the blonde did the only rational thing. He threw at Aretha as hard as he could. Just caught the gun and crushed it in her grip with a blank look on her. "Really?" she asked, as the blonde shrugged. He then took out both of his katana and then threw one at her. "What's this for?" Aretha easily caught the katana, admiring the weapon and using her power to learn its history. "This weapon has shed so much blood." "A fair fight?" Naruto said. He got in a stance. "I haven't used a katana since I fought a giant dragon at the Great Wall of China," Aretha said as she got into a stance of her own. "This should be fun. I can't help but feel I've made a huge mistake," Naruto muttered before the two charged at each other. Blades clashed as the two began a deadly dance of blades. Naruto was on the offense, attacking with an overhead swipe that Aretha blocked. He then attacked with rapid, fast movements that had Aretha stepping back. With her on edge, Naruto grabbed his gun and began firing right at her face. The bullets, of course, didn't do anything and just bounced off her, but it seemed to irritate Aretha a bit, and that was a distraction as good as any. Naruto dropped down and leg swiped her. Aretha grunted as she fell to the ground. Naruto instantly pounced, straddling the goddess and going for a killing blow that she blocked with her sword. The two struggled, and it looked like the demigod was gaining the upper hand. That was until Aretha smirked. "You're strong," she said casually before her eyes began glowing red. "But I'm stronger." With a burst of her power, Naruto was sent flying off her. Blonde's body hit the bleachers and destroyed the area he had landed. "Ouch," he groaned out as he stood up, only to see a floating Aretha with red aura around her. "I'm very aroused now." With a roar, Aretha charged at the blonde. Naruto's eyes opened as he sat up. The blonde looked around and found himself naked on a bed in a large bedroom. With only a green blanket to cover him, Naruto was about to get off the bed when the bathroom door opened and Loki stepped out. "Holy shit," Naruto said as he stared wide-eyed at the beautiful goddess. "Oh, you're awake." Loki smiled as she walked towards him. Damn, this woman. Even the act of walking just made her look sexy. Loki was dressed in a dark red strapless dress that showed off her breasts very well. The blonde man couldn't help but stare. "I take it you like?" "I think I love," Naruto muttered as he got up. "I know that look in your eye, and no, this dress took way too long to put on," Loki said as she took a step back. "I made dinner reservations, and I don't want us to be late." "I'll be quick, just in and out," Naruto pleaded as he took a step forward. "I'll be quick, I promise." "That's not something a girl wants to hear," Loki said blankly. "I put some clothes in that bathroom, so clean up and put them on." Naruto just grumbled to himself as he walked to the bathroom. "Don't be pouty. I'll make it up to you when we come back," Loki said as she smiled. 2 hours later. Naruto tried his best not to stare, but the way Loki was looking at him said otherwise. "What is this place?" "Welcome to Asgard's fanciest restaurant where the high-class gods and goddesses come to dine," Loki said as she hooked her arm around his. "Come on, we have a reservation." Naruto let her lead the way into the place. The whole place looked like it was made of gold. The whole damn place was fancier than the word fancy. The place had beautifully dressed Asgardians in pairs of 2 or more seated at their own tables. Naruto looked around like an idiot as he was led to a table. He quickly pulled a chair for Loki, who gave him a kiss on the cheek for his chivalry. Once both were seated, a waitress literally appears out of thin air. "Good evening. What will the lady and lord be having this fine evening?" the waitress asked. "We'll be having the—" Naruto blinked as Loki began speaking in another language entirely. The waitress nodded before vanishing in a shimmer of gold light. "So this is Asgard," Loki said as she gestured to their surroundings. "So much gold," Naruto said as Loki chuckled. "Most of it was stolen," she said with a smirk. "The Norse mythology thought they were tough shit and began invading other pantheons' realms. It was all good until we were put in our place. We still kept the shit we stole, though. But why even steal when you can make gold out of thin air?" Naruto couldn't help but ask. The more he found out about the gods, the more he realized that they were a walking contradiction. "Because it belonged to someone else," Loki said with a shrug. "We on the Norse side are notorious for wanting other people's stuff." "Loki?" It's you! Naruto heard a man yell as Loki seemed to sigh. A large tall man with blue eyes, red hair, and an equally red beard was walking towards their table. I didn't recognize you until I felt your power, the man said with a grin. Thor, Loki said dryly. It's always a pleasure to meet you and your wife. Next to the man was a beautiful woman with golden, red long hair. Naruto looked at Thor and he seemed like a regular man, dressed a black tux with a blue shirt that matched his wife's blue dress. Do you mind if we share the table with you? We can trade stories, Thor said with a grin. You my good man are? My name's Naruto. Nice to meet you, Lord Thor, Naruto said hesitantly. Naruto could see that Loki didn't really want Thor around. The goddess seemed to be frowning and was awfully quiet. I'm not sure if it's allowed here. I'm sure they can make an exception, Thor said as his wife snapped her fingers and 2 more chairs appeared. We own the place after all, she said smugly as she took her seat. Her eyes then turned to Naruto and she glared. You're supposed to bow in the presence of royalty, mortal. The other goddess, Sif, seemed to stiffen. Naruto does not need to do that. He is a guest to Asgard, Thor said with his ever-present grin. Now I know we don't all get along with each other, but let us not resort to fighting, at least for Naruto. Of course, I can be the bigger goddess, Loki said with a smirk. She seemed to enjoy how the other goddess glared at her. So Naruto, how did someone from the Greek side meet up with Loki? Thor asked. The red-haired god was doing his best to put out the obvious fire between Sif and Loki. Well, she burst into my room with flaming fireballs, and then everything is pretty much a blur. Now, I have a theory. I think Loki killed me with her fireballs, and I'm on the floor dying a painful death. And so to give me closure, my brain is coming up with this fantasy of my would-be killer being my lover, Naruto said seriously as Thor seemed to look thoughtful. So my life is but a figment of some dying mortal's imagination? The red-haired god seemed to look at his hands with wide eyes. Whoa, that is life-changing. The 2 males then burst out laughing. So you were raised by the League of Assassins? That is ridiculous. Thor laughed as he drank from a large wooden cup. Pretty much. Killed a lot of people over the years, Naruto said as he sipped from his own cup of Asgardian ale. My father always wanted me to take his place as the demon head, but nah, I wasn't really fit to be in charge. My sister was the one who was good at that. So I just ran away. Seems to me you're too much of a coward to take up responsibility, Sif said with a scoff. I don't know, someone who wants to live their own life, rather than what some old fart said. I can relate to that person, Loki said as she turned to Naruto with a smile. Naruto smiled back at Loki before he turned to Thor. They'd been talking for a while now with both males telling stories and getting drunk on ale. Hey, show me your hammer, Naruto said excitedly. For you, my friend, why not? Thor said as he got up and began to unzip his pants. What are you doing? Showing you my oh, you meant my other hammer. Thor gave a laugh as he held out his hand, and in a flash of blue his hammer, the legendary Mjolnir. The hammer has a head that consists of a trapezoidal-shaped slab of iron with runic designs swirled across the metal and a stubby handle bound in leather. Impressive, isn't it? It is, Naruto said in awe of the weapon. Go ahead, my friend, give it a lift then, Thor said as he took his seat and put the hammer on the table. I don't think I'm worthy, Naruto said with a shake of his head. Oh, that's nonsense. Someone came up with a damn rumor because they couldn't lift it. The thing is just heavy, none of that worth nonsense. Though the lightning is a me thing only, Thor pointed out. Come on, Naruto, give it a try, Loki said as she sipped from her wine. I doubt a mortal can. Before Sif could finish, Naruto got up and grabbed Mjolnir by its leather handle. The blonde then held it high in the air. By the power of Grayskull, and to the shock and awe of everyone present, a bolt of lightning came forth from the sky and hit Naruto, changing his entire outfit from the tux he wore to full-body black and gold armor. I have the power, Thor blinked. I didn't know it could do to that. You watch Netflix on it, Loki said nonchalantly. I'm pretty sure it can change outfits. How? A mere mortal to do that with Mjolnir. How? Sif yelled in. Drunk husband didn't have an answer. He instead stared at Naruto's form. Now, how do I fly? Whoa! Mjolnir glowed blue before taking to the sky, with a drunk screaming Naruto along with it. By Odin's balls! Gross, that's you, father, Loki said blankly. Sif, look, he stole my hammer, a drunk Thor yelled before he quickly got up and gave chase. Mjolnir, come back! This mortal is very interesting, Sif said with a smirk. It would be a shame if he was stolen from you. Your hair is very interesting, Loki began as she looked at Sif. It would be a shame if someone shaved you while you slept. Sif frowned, her hand going to her hair and wrapping a strand around her hand. I imagine what he would do if he saw that ugly scar on your face, the one you hide with your powers of illusion. Oh, look at you, I'm impressed, Loki said as she gave a slow, mocking clap. Standing up to your betters like this, could it be because you're hiding behind your husband? You have it in your little head that he can beat me in a fight. But the question you should be asking boldly, are you sure Thor can beat me when I'm motivated? Because if hell breaks loose, I'm going for you, no one else. I managed to get to you in that fancy place of yours once under the all-seeing gaze of your father-in-law. I would slit your throat and they wouldn't know it was me, because you, Sif, are a bitch to everyone. A lot of people hate you. These threats of yours, my husband won't. Oh, Sif, this entire night you have been nothing but a bitch. Thor knows, and even the Asgardians who were listening on to our private conversations know it. If you suddenly came up with this ridiculous theory that I was going to cut off your head and replace it with a donkey's, no one would believe you, because we all know you are a self-centered bitch. Loki said with a devilish smile, I am Jotun, my domain is chaos. If I cursed you to act like a donkey, no one would break that curse. Don't you find it suspicious when I shaved you bald your hair didn't grow back? Or why Odin didn't just wave his hand and grow it back? If I was to fade, my curses would still be here. Loki, hey! Naruto called out from where he was in the air, a drunken Thor holding onto his leg as they floated around. Thor says he knows this cool place he wants to show me. Can we go? Of course, lover, Loki said in amusement. Hotel Valhalla, Naruto said as he looked around. I know I'm drunk, but that is the dumbest name I have ever seen. It is owned by the Allfather himself, Thor said with a shrug. Come along, we have lots to see. As Thor led the way, Naruto grabbed Loki's hand. The goddess had decided to tag along, while Sif had refused. Loki smiled out how warm Naruto's hand felt as she was pulled along. Naruto just seemed to get more interesting the more she spent time with him. I forget the number of floors, but it's a lot, Thor said as three girls quickly approached. Father, a girl with braided blonde hair, stepped forward. She was slightly athletic and tall, but she looked young, around 19. Daughter, Thor said with a large grin, I have brought guests. Please treat them well. Her as well, the girl said, as she glared at Loki in hatred. The goddess just smiled innocently. Yes, Loki is a guest, Thor said as he turned serious. She must be treated with the same respect as I, is that clear, Gunilla? Yes, father, the girl said. Good, now bring us food, Thor yelled before he grabbed Naruto. Let me show you the training grounds. As the two left, Loki watched them go before she turned to the three Valkyries. So, have any of you seen my little Sam around? Gunilla narrowed her eyes. We don't know and we don't care, she spat. Is she treated well? Loki ignored the hostility. Well enough. If it was up to me, she wouldn't be here. Gunilla said, only for her eyes to widen as Loki's eyes narrowed, and an invisible force began pressing on the three girls, making them fall to their knees. So Thor's daughter is a bully, huh? The beautiful goddess asked. Are you sure you're that goofball's daughter? And next time I ask a question, you must answer me with the respect I deserve. That's enough. Loki turned, and behind her stood her demigod daughter. The pressure was gone in an instant as the red-haired goddess shot towards her daughter like a bullet and swooped her up into a hug. My little Sammy, Loki squealed as she rubbed her cheek against her daughter's. How have you been? Get off me, mother, Sammy, yelled as she tried to push her mother off. You're embarrassing me. A few minutes later, Loki and her daughter were walking through the halls of the hotel. Do they treat you well? Loki asked as her daughter chuckled. No, not really, but I'm used to it. I don't have that many friends, but I love being a Valkyrie, the girl said as Loki looked down. I'm sorry, little one, Loki said, as her daughter turned to her. I know, mother, the girl said with a sigh. Most people don't know this side of you. You should show it more often. Loki scoffed. A Jotun showing weakness? They would eat me up. She said, someone needs to spank that Gunilla, spoiled brat. She's hundreds of years old. She shouldn't be bullying innocent, sweet little girls. Please don't do anything. I'm not going to do anything. I cross my heart and hope to die. Tat-hat means nothing coming from you. You know, that man who came with Lord Thor. He's actually Loki's. Gunilla turned to the girl that was whispering to her friends. I don't really like Loki that much. She's such a bitch. But there's nothing we can do about it. Another girl said, I'll ask one of the boys to challenge the guy to a friendly spar and rough him up a bit. Another girl said with a smirk, It's not much, but at least that bitch will be in a bad mood. But what guy would... Gunilla turned away from the gossiping girls with narrowed eyes. She hated Loki and all her children. They were nothing but bad people that spread chaos everywhere they went. Though she couldn't fight Loki one-on-one, she could still hurt Loki in some way. And apparently that man she came with was her lover. He didn't look that tough, honestly. Plus, anyone who would willingly fall in love with Loki was just as bad as her. Gunilla nodded her head as she made her way to the training grounds. She wouldn't kill the man, but she would rough him up a bit. And as she left, the demigod daughter of Thor missed the smirks the other girls had, or their glowing green eyes. "Daughter, you finally come to visit me," Laufey the Just said as she stood up from her garden. "Hello, Mother," Loki greeted as she looked around the large garden. "This place has changed." "No, not really," Laufey said as she looked down at her daughter. "I see you still run around in that little form." Loki looked up at her giant of a mother with a smile. "It helps me fit in," she said with a shrug. "Oh, daughter, you are positively glowing. More grandbabies are on the way," Laufey said with a huge smile. "That's a hard no, Mother," Loki said as she rolled her eyes. "I'm never getting pregnant, plus you already have plenty of grandchildren." "Have you tried cuddling a world eater?" the giant said with a frown. "So if it's not grandbabies, what is it you've come for?" "I've come to borrow your axe," Loki said as her mother looked down at her with narrowed eyes. "What mischief are you up to now, daughter?" "Oh, Mother, I just wish to borrow a weapon of mass destruction. What mischief could I possibly cause with a weapon almost as powerful as Mjolnir?" Loki said with a smirk as her mother shook her head. "You've never shown interest in it until now," the giant said as she looked her daughter up and down. "What has changed, daughter?" "I just needed to help someone." "Is it a man?" Laufey asked instantly. "Why can't it be a woman?" "Because I want you to carry a child in your womb," Laufey said. "I want to see you glow with pregnancy." "Been there, done that, didn't like I taught," Loki said with a disinterested wave. "Are you giving it to me or not?" Naruto was drunk. Thor had given him more Asgardian ale, or was it mead? Whatever it was had completely bypassed his regenerative abilities and made him blackout drunk. Now Naruto was still somewhat awake and was somewhat in control. So when Thor's daughter walked up to him and asked for a friendly fight, he was confused. No. Loki, who Naruto had forgotten was even next to him, stepped forward. Thor had gone home because Sif had called to him. He will do no such thing. "Rest assured, Loki, I will not hurt him too badly," Gunilla said before she smirked. "Or is he too cowardly to fight a woman? Fine, but how about a wager?" Loki seemed almost nervous. "Fine then," Gunilla said with a smirk. "You get to do what Naruto wants for a day. Even if it's sexual in nature," Loki said, as her eyes narrowed. "Unless that's too much for you, we can call it all off." "No," Gunilla said instantly. "I agree to those terms, but if I win, I get to cut off your right arm." Loki seemed to frown at that. She looked at Naruto before turning to Thor's daughter. "We accept." "A deal's a deal," Gunilla said with a nod. To the average person watching, Loki was not that confident compared to Gunilla, who seemed to be on top of things. But to Naruto, it kinda looked like Loki knew exactly what she was doing. Maybe it was just his drunk mind talking. Soon enough, they were in a large arena with a lot of people watching. "For my weapon, I will be using this." Gunilla had a proud smile on her face as she held out a large axe. "Well, that's not fair," Loki remarked as Naruto turned to her. She seemed to be hiding something behind her. "Lover, why don't you use this?" Naruto blinked as Loki presented a two-handed war axe with several runes inscribed on the blade. "What is this?" Naruto asked as he stared at the axe in awe. He could feel that it wasn't a run-of-the-mill axe with a wooden handle. "It is called the Leviathan Axe, named after one of my kids. It was infused with the echoing screams of 50 frost giants. Give or take," Loki said with a proud smile. "Take it and teach the brats some manners. If you win, we'll do butt stuff." "On me? Thinking on me," the red-haired goddess said with a chuckle. "But, woman, I will eat edible lube out of your ass," Naruto said seriously with his eyes narrowed. "Oh, you nasty man," Loki giggled. "Can we please get on with this?" An extremely uncomfortable Gunilla. "Okay." Naruto grabbed the axe and instantly he felt a surge of energy fill his body. The Leviathan axe was slowly healing his drunk mind, making way for clear thoughts. Brandishing the axe, Naruto looked to the daughter of Thor. "Bring it on." Gunilla growled as she looked at Naruto with rage-filled eyes. The man was obviously taunting her. In a burst of pure speed, Gunilla sped towards Naruto with her axe raised. Maybe she'd cut his arm off for him being too cocky. As her large axe came down, Naruto blurred to the side and Gunilla's axe hit the ground a few inches away from him. The attack all but shattered the ground. Gunilla's eyes widened as Naruto countered with a kick right to the demigod Valkyrie's face. The force of the kick sent her flying back and leaving her axe embedded in the ground. Gunilla rolled on the ground to a stop. Her eyes widened as she looked at the man she was fighting. His eyes looked sharper, his face didn't have that drunk grin from before. What was once a drunken fool was now a full-on warrior. She looked at the axe in his hand and her eyes widened. It gave off the same energy as Mjolnir. Was she so full of herself that she didn't know her opponent held a godly weapon? "I underestimated you," Gunilla said as she got up. The hit didn't really bruise, but it was enough to make her take him seriously. No more. The blonde Valkyrie held out her hand. Naruto looked confused for a moment before he made a dash towards her. He was fast, faster than any mortal Gunilla had ever faced. The distance between them cleared in a second, the axe was raised and Gunilla could see that he was about to hit her with the pommel of the war axe. Only his hit never landed. Instead, he was blindsided by Mjolnir slamming into his side and sending him flying. "Hey, that's cheating!" Gunilla ignored Loki as Mjolnir stopped midair and flew into her waiting hand. She won. While that attack hadn't killed him, it still put the man down, probably broke a few ribs. She looked at the hammer in her hand and was thankful her father was so drunk he had left it behind in one of the men's bathrooms. Suddenly, Gunilla's supernatural instincts blurred, and she brought up Mjolnir to block the axe. Upon contact, the two godly weapons glowed blue. "That actually hurt," the man Naruto said as he got up from where he had landed. The blonde held out his hand, and the axe and fucking Mjolnir flew at him. The blonde quickly brought up his other hand in surprise and caught the warhammer. Huh. Gunilla stared with wide eyes. How was this possible? She was the daughter of Thor. Mjolnir was her birthright, and the fact that he held two godly weapons without imploding was a testament to the power the man held. Naruto stared at the two weapons in his hands before he dropped them to the ground, and got into a stance. Gunilla glared at the man before she rushed him. She was going to beat him to a bloody pulp. She cleared the distance in seconds, her fist going for his face only for the man to dodge and counter with an uppercut to her chin. Gunilla's head snapped upwards before a scream left her mouth when she was suddenly punched in the stomach. She hunched over in pain only for Naruto to grab both sides of her face and smashed his knee against her face. The burst of pain left her disoriented and could do nothing as she was grabbed into a chokehold. His arms pressed against both sides of her neck as he applied pressure. Gunilla struggled, but the grip was ironclad. She elbowed him in the gut repeatedly, but he didn't let up. Soon, her vision began to blacken, and as the strength began to fade. Gunilla couldn't help but curse those girls as her strength left her and she lost consciousness. "Well, that ended quickly," Loki said with a pout. "I thought it would be this grand fight with you two flying around and stuff. I even brought Leviathan." "Sorry about that," Naruto said as he let Gunilla fall to the ground. "I'm an assassin. I like to end fights as soon as possible. I can make it up to you." "Oh, you will, both of you will," Loki said as she smirked. "That's not ominous at all," Naruto muttered as he watched his girlfriend rub her hands together like a cartoon villain.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss out on any future content. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and stay awesome.